Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Nate Diaz confirms that Tyron Woodley is a possible return opponent for him for UFC 226. I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego in the back with some more fighting. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in fighting. If you want to become part of the Gang Ego's army, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, Tyron Woodley, he made some recent statements, I think it was a couple of days ago, where he says there's a strong likelihood and something like bet the house, if he were to bet his house, that his next opponent might be Nate Diaz. Basically, there's a strong likelihood that he would be willing to make some kind of major wager. Now, Nate Diaz kind of corroborated and confirmed those statements from Tyron Woodley. He did an interview, link is in the description, with ESPN. And in the interview, he said some interesting things. Nate Diaz says, "I'm getting to the point where I'm sick of not fighting. I'm not getting any younger. I put that tweet out saying I wanted to fight in May or June, but I didn't say who because I was weighing my options, and now Tyron Woodley is my best option. I see him on TMZ every week talking about me. I'm like, what the fuck? If that's what you want to do, it's not really my weight class, but I'm with it. I think it's my title we're fighting for. If he's the one calling me out, whose title are we fighting for? Who's the real champion here?" He says, "I'd like a good 2 or 3 month camp. We'll figure it out. There's definitely going to be something. I'm trying to fight." He says, "They called me out of nowhere when I wasn't trying to fight nobody. They asked if I would fight Woodley, and I said, well, I'd like a 3-month camp. I told them I'd fight him on a shorter notice, but would send them what I wanted in the contract. It was nothing out of the norm. My boxing coach said something about $15 million in the interview, but that was never the number. Then I saw in the media, the UFC said they never approached me about it. I was like, fuck it then. I wasn't the one asking for the fight." And he's talking about, I think it was late last year, people were mentioning this particular fight. So that's his statements on UFC 226. I want to give my thoughts. Listen, it's a big fight. 2 known names in the world of MMA, sports, combat fighting. Nate Diaz is a good trash talker. He's a good fighter. He's tough as nails. Tyron Woodley, I think he does the show on TMZ. He's been in the movie Straight Outta Compton. He's a good fighter. He's a champion. He's defended against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson twice. Then he had the fight with Damian Maia. So it's a big fight. There's a lot of people that I've seen in comment sections and whatnot, and they're being real aristocratic. Like, they're just so full of manners and regard and principle. Like, oh, this is a travesty. How could Nate Diaz get a title shot versus Tyron Woodley? This is an outrage. But, you know what I mean? Real talk. If you really break down the UFC, there's been a lot of things that have happened that have been highly questionable. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether it's, let's say, Brock Lesnar, he can go to wrestling and then come back, and then he's right there fighting in a major fight, whereas there's other guys who've been waiting in line. Or even better examples would be examples and favoritism that have been shown towards Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, she was the only one who got to bypass media obligations, something that Conor McGregor was denied of, and she had this media blackout where she was only made to attend the actual weigh-in and certain dates. She didn't have to do everything. She didn't have to do like the open workout after she lost to Holly Holm when she was preparing to fight Amanda Nunes. So how does she get that star treatment? But if it's anybody else, if it's Max Holloway or anybody else, they have to attend those different things. Or Conor McGregor himself. I mean, he's had his belt and he's been holding on to it, and no one knows the status of his his belt at 155 at lightweight. It's like, who's fighting for the belt? Like, it doesn't make sense. Are you gonna strip Conor McGregor since he hasn't defended? He went over to boxing. And even before that, Conor McGregor, they let him hold on to his featherweight belt and then fight for Eddie Alvarez for a lightweight belt, right? And he won both of those fights, and they let him keep both of those belts. So he was the only person in UFC history to simultaneously hold 2 belts in 2 separate divisions at the same time. But that was only made possible through politics, because if it were a lesser star than Conor McGregor, then they would have been stripped of the featherweight title before it even got to the point where UFC 205 or whatever it was, he was fighting Eddie Alvarez. But they kind of broke the rules and extended it, allowed Conor McGregor to achieve that feat, and then I think they stripped him of the featherweight title. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I don't understand. People are trying to act all like pure when it comes to this Tyron Woodley and Nate Diaz situation. Like, they can't understand it. But as a UFC fan, or just a fan in general, I mean, we see all types of stuff happen where what's right, if you really want to play the morality code, what's right is not what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, situations, and just like I said with some of those examples. So, I mean, some people aren't gonna like it, like, oh, hey, how does Nate Diaz get a title shot? I would rather see Tyron Woodley versus Nick Diaz. But bottom line is, it is what it is. The UFC, it looks like they're just banking on 2 big names and trying to put together a big fight with recognizable names, right? And it might also be a punishment too for Nate Diaz, who's been outspoken towards the UFC. So, and the reason I say punishment is because, not that he can't win the fight absolutely, but that's not necessarily his weight class predominantly. Even though he fought Conor McGregor there, that's not really his weight class, and then he would be in there with a champion and a big puncher. So maybe they're willing to put him in a dangerous fight because he's been outspoken. So they're like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Now you have to take this super dangerous fight if you want to come back. So I don't know the reason, but it's been on the radar. But the bottom line is this: whether you agree with Nate Diaz getting a title shot straight out the gates and say, oh, he hasn't done nothing, or not, if you're a fan of UFC, you will be watching this fight. You know what I mean? It's intriguing enough. The names ring bells. So at the end of the day, the UFC gets what they want because people will watch. It's not like they're going to skip this night. You know what I'm saying? Who's not going to watch it just to see what happened? Just like Mayweather McGregor. A lot of people knew what was going to happen, but they watch it just to see, just to satisfy that curiosity. Can Nate Diaz handle Tyron Woodley's power? You know what I mean? Just different stuff like that. So it is what it is. You guys let me know what you guys think of the fight. It's not a done deal. It's not finalized, but it looks like it may go down for UFC 226. Some people are calling it a money grab fight, but like I said, it is what it is. Nate Diaz it's a dangerous fight for him, but Stockton don't raise no punks. He's tough, and he just wants the right amount of time to train. He's fought at the weight before, even though he wasn't fighting against a natural welterweight per se. He was fighting Conor McGregor. We'll see. We'll see how this unfolds. Let me know who you would pick to win, Tyron Woodley or Nate Diaz. Another thing I was thinking of personally that may be a cause is styles make fights. And stylistically, Nate Diaz, despite the, oh, does he deserve a title shot stuff, but stylistically, it seems like it would be a good action fight. Whereas if you look at some of Tyron Woodley's recent fights, even though he has a lot of power, when he was in there with Wonder Boy, he's in there with the guy whose discipline is mostly karate. So he had to be very cautious and stuff like that. So the action was in spots. You know what I mean? It wasn't just all action, because he couldn't just come in reckless. He'll get kicked in the fucking temple. And then the fight with Damian Maia, he also had to be kind of cautious and stuff like that. So this will also give an opportunity to I guess, be more of an explosive action fight based on the way the two fight. That's just something I was thinking of, and that's something we haven't really had from Tyron Woodley. And I'm not taking anything away from him, because, you know what I mean, the most important thing is capturing the W, and you got to win. But his last couple of fights probably haven't been the most explosive. Like he's known for like highlight reel knockouts and stuff like that. So Nate Diaz, if he fights Nate Diaz, I could picture there being blood and gore and stuff like that, action. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.